3 days before I turned 36, I stopped calling it a pattern and started calling it a plan. My phone lit up. Mom, I already knew, not the words, just the shape of them. The way a sentence can be assembled from parts you've heard so many times they've worn grooves. Something came up with your brother. Her voice had that careful, rehearsed quality, like she'd practiced in the car. On my kitchen counter, a half-wrapped gift. Silver paper, blue ribbon. I'd picked it myself this year, just to feel like someone had. I'm turning 36 on Saturday, I said, quietly, more to the empty kitchen than to her. You've missed the last 4. She didn't answer that. She never did. You know how he gets, she said instead. I did. Last year it was a car that fixed itself by Sunday morning. The year before, a panic attack that arrived at 6 p.m. and vanished by 9. Always urgent. Always vague enough. Always gone once the evening was over and I was already home, alone, Tupperware in the fridge. I'll call you later. She hung up before I could find the right response. I stood there looking at the gift, waiting to feel the familiar collapse, the sob I'd learned to talk myself out of, the bargaining, the next year will be different. It didn't come. What came instead was quieter, more final. I pulled out a chair, sat down, and opened my notes app. I'd started the list months ago, on a night I couldn't sleep, when something in me got tired of pretending not to see. Dates, reasons, names. Christmas, Ethan, locked out, emergency. Promotion dinner, Ethan, not feeling safe alone. Surgery consult, Ethan, needs mom overnight. 18 entries, every milestone I'd had in the last 3 years. He'd never sounded desperate when he called them, always calm, already certain they were coming. I used to think desperation was the price of admission, that he needed them more than I did, and that was fine, that was family, that was what you did. But I'd scrolled through this list enough nights to know, he didn't need them, he needed me not to have them. I closed the app. My apartment looked back at me. The couch where I'd cried after the canceled reservation 2 years ago. The kitchen where I'd cooked my own birthday dinner and eaten it standing at the counter. The window I'd stood at, more times than I wanted to count, watching their car drive past on the street below without stopping. For the first time, I looked at all of it and thought, I built this alone, every piece of it. I called the restaurant. High reservation for Saturday, party of 6. I kept my voice even. I need to change it. A pause. Would you like to cancel? I looked at my reflection in the dark window, half expected to see someone braced for impact. I didn't. No, I said, change it to 1. I packed slowly. That mattered. Rushing would have meant I was running. Every folded shirt, every document I slid into the folder, deliberate. The suitcase wasn't the big one, just enough for what was actually mine. My father's text arrived halfway through. Your brother's not doing well. We're going to stay with him a few days. We'll celebrate when we get back. I read it twice, typed back, don't rush. Sent it, watched the 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Nothing came through. I set my phone down and kept packing. It was almost midnight when Ethan called. That was new. He never called me directly. He didn't need to, he had them for that. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Not for closure exactly, more like confirmation. Hey, he said, calm, easy, no ragged breath, no background noise of someone in crisis. You okay? I asked. A pause, yeah, a small chuckle. Why wouldn't I be? I leaned against the wall, watched the numbers above the elevator doors count down. Mom said you weren't doing well. Longer pause, then almost amused. She said that. Something in my chest went very still. You didn't call them, I said. No. One word, simple as a door clicking shut. I stepped into the lobby. The marble floor, the smell of someone else's takeout, the perfectly ordinary world that had no idea. "Happy early birthday, Alara." He said it lightly, like an afterthought. I ended the call. I stood on the sidewalk outside my building for a moment, phone in my hand. The night was colder than I expected. Sharp. The kind of cold that doesn't ask your permission. All this time, I'd blamed him. His timing. His talent for arriving in crisis exactly when I needed something. But he hadn't asked. Not tonight. Maybe not any of the nights. They had built him into an excuse. Over and over. A story they'd told themselves so many times it had become true, or at least easier than the alternative. I opened my messages and typed 2 sentences. "I just spoke to Ethan. He's fine, he didn't call you." I watched the dots appear. Stop, start again. "Enjoy your trip." I blocked both numbers before the replies arrived. Not in anger. In the same calm, decisive way you close a window. "And a draft has been bothering you all evening." The drive was long. I didn't play music. Just the engine, the headlights pulling a small corridor of visibility out of the dark, and the strange physical sensation of distance accumulating between me and everything I'd arranged myself around. My mother found another number. I almost didn't answer, but I'd made enough decisions that night. I could make one more. "Why did you block us?" Her voice was different now. The rehearsed quality was gone, something underneath it raw and bewildered. "Because you believed something that wasn't true." "We didn't know." "You didn't check." A soft sound. I'd heard it my whole life, the noise she made right before I was supposed to feel guilty enough to make her feel better. "Please don't do this right now," she said. "We'll come back, we'll fix it." I kept both hands on the wheel. "You're already gone." A sharp inhale. "We chose your brother because he needed us." I let a few seconds pass. Outside, the highway was dark and empty and going somewhere. "No," I said. "You chose who was easier to love." She didn't answer right away. For once, there was no quick repositioning, no soft reframe, just silence, long enough to be honest. "Is that what you really think?" she asked finally. I thought about every time I'd made myself smaller, every apology I'd offered for needing something, every year I'd told myself next time with the same disciplined hope of someone watering a plant that hasn't been near a window in years. "I stopped thinking it a while ago," I said. "Now I just know it." Another long pause, then, "We can do better." I saw the exit sign for my new city, a place they'd never visited, a place shaped around nothing they'd given me. "I hope you do," I said, and I meant it. Not for me, just in the way you wish something good for a person you're done waiting on. "And for you?" she asked. The exit ramp curved ahead. I already did. I ended the call and took the turn. The city opened up in front of me, unfamiliar lights, a different skyline, streets I didn't know yet. Somewhere in there was an apartment I'd signed a lease on 3 weeks ago without telling anyone, a restaurant reservation for one, a birthday that was finally just mine. I rolled down the window, let the cold air in. For the first time in years, the silence around me wasn't absence. It was just room.